The buxom blonde model Anna Nicole Smith became known across the nation for her energetic personality, gorgeous smile, and rapid rise to fame. We know the basics of her life story and the successes she gained through her career and social interactions with many accomplished people. But despite these notable facts, Smith's life is much more complex than most of us realize. From her work as a dancer to an animal rights activist, here is the untold truth about Anna Nicole Smith. 11. Early life. Anna Nicole Smith was born on November 28 in 1967. Her real name is Vicki Lynn Hogan, given by parents Virgie Mae Arthur and Donald Eugene Hogan, who divorced only a couple years after she was born. She was raised mostly by her mother and aunt because her father left them after the divorce. She lived away from her mother during her time in high school. Smith stopped attending classes early on and began working in her teens. At 17, she worked at Jim's Crispy Fried Chicken in Mexia, Texas, which is still open today, and met her first husband, Billy Wayne Smith. The couple tied the knot in April of 1985, and less than a year later, in January of 1986, she gave birth to her son, Daniel Wayne Smith. She continued working small part-time jobs until meeting J. Howard Marshall in 1991. 10. Beginning of fame.
Although most of her side jobs included chains like Red Lobster and Walmart, she decided to become an exotic dancer.
So in 1991, Smith moved to Houston to work at a club, leaving Daniel behind with her mother for a brief time. Soon after, during a shift at her new place of employment, Gigi's Cabaret, she met J. Howard Marshall. He was 86 years old when they first met and a very successful businessman who had reached billionaire status through his partial possession of Koch Industries, a chemical and oil company. After becoming infatuated with the striking blonde, Marshall asked for Smith's hand in marriage on several occasions. It wasn't until February of 1993 that she separated from Billy Wayne, and just over a year later, Smith wedded the then 89-year-old J. Howard Marshall. The unity caused a lot of controversy with the public as well as Marshall's family, as many people suspected she married him for the sole purpose of benefiting financially. However, Smith held true to her honest intentions in marrying the man for a lot more than money. In 2002, 7 years after Marshall's passing, she spoke with Larry King, assuring fans everywhere that her love was pure, and although there was no physical attraction on her part, she'd never been treated as kindly by someone as she was by him during their short marriage. Number 9. Playboy. During the time Smith was working at Gigi's and associating with J. Howard Marshall, she is said to have sent revealing photographs of herself to Playboy magazine.
Hugh Hefner decided to take her on as a new model in 1992.
Not long after, her modeling career took off, and she began posing for clothing companies like H&M and Guess. In fact, the H&M posters of this blonde bombshell were too distracting for some drivers in Europe. As a result, the ads had to be taken down to ensure safe traveling. In 1993, Anna Nicole was named Playmate of the Year for Playboy magazine, becoming one of the most sensual and sought-after icons in the history of United States pop culture. Number 8. PETA. Not only was Smith a model and actress, she pursued other aspirations following her beliefs about animal rights. She was a spokeswoman for PETA, which stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Working with other members of the organization, she used Marilyn Monroe's well-known "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend" portion of the film Gentlemen Prefer Blondes as inspiration for one of their most notable campaigns. The 2004 advertisement made the statement, "Gentlemen prefer fur-free blondes," and pictured Smith in a pink satin gown, nearly identical to the dress Monroe was wearing in the 1953 movie. The model turned PETA advocate participated in several more ads, including one against the Iams dog food company, in which she posed with her pets to protest further lab testing of furry creatures everywhere. Smith believed in the movement against the inhumane treatment of animals so much that she eventually stopped her consumption of meat.
She was even a nominee for being the most good-looking vegetarian in 2006.
Number 7. Revolutionizing Modeling. Anna Nicole Smith was recognized immediately in the modeling world for her obvious beauty. She was curvaceous, bold, and intent on following in the footsteps of her renowned pinup idol, Marilyn Monroe. She, of course, achieved a lot of her acknowledgement through her work with Playboy. She was recorded as the largest model for the magazine at the time by taking her height, weight, and other measurements into consideration. Smith later received a lot of attention working as a plus-size model for Lane Bryant. She confidently walked down the runway for the lingerie company's spring fashion show in February of 2000. By doing this, people everywhere were inspired to accept their given body types and admired Anna Nicole even more for representing a wide range of women's figures. Number 6. The Anna Nicole Show. Not only was the superstar a very successful model, but Smith also became a reality show celebrity on her television series, The Anna Nicole Show, which aired on E! Entertainment Network from 2002 to 2004. The sitcom followed the everyday life of Smith and her son Daniel, as well as Sugar Pie, her miniature poodle. Other friends and relatives made appearances on the series as well, including Howard K. Stern, her associate Kim Walter, and her home decorator, Bobby Trendy. Some questions arose as to why the show was eventually canceled due to Anna Nicole's many antics during filming, but it ultimately ended because of its dwindling viewer ratings. Despite the end of the Anna Nicole Show, it gained a following by young college-goers everywhere. The recorded shenanigans and life of Smith even inspired the creation of an opera titled Anna Nicole, which premiered in February of 2011. The musical play took place in London at the Royal Opera House. The performance was videotaped and shown a month later on BBC4, a television channel in Britain. In April of 2013, the opera even made a debut in the United States at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in New York City. Number 5. Stern vs. Marshall. She was in the midst of her dream career in leading a seemingly happy life when her husband at the time, J. Howard Marshall, succumbed to cancer at the age of 90. Not only did his passing bring about sadness and mourning from his children and a widowed Anna Nicole Smith, but brought legal disputes as well because of the will he'd left behind. Both Smith and Marshall's son, J. Howard Marshall III, claimed that he had verbally promised them part of his estate, but J. Howard had left all his assets and company to his younger son, and since these declarations were not written, they took the case to court. A bankruptcy court in Southern California ruled that Smith would obtain over $400 million. E. Pierce combated her allegations, and the lawsuit eventually made it to the United States Supreme Court. They determined that the original bankruptcy court acted outside of their jurisdiction, and as a result, they awarded Smith's family nothing. Number 4. Dannielynn. In the year 2006, Smith decided to move to the Bahamas. She took up residence in a mansion which was paid for by her ex-fling Gator Ben Thompson. Her reason for moving there is debatable, but has been stated that it was to avoid paternity testing, as Smith was pregnant with her daughter at the time. She gave birth to Dannielynn on September 7th of that year while still living in New Providence. Smith declared Howard K. Stern, her long-standing attorney, the father of the child, giving her daughter the hyphenated last name Marshall Stern. He recognized himself as the father as well, assuring media that he and the playmate had been seeing each other privately for a while at that point. The couple had even been married in the Bahamas, although the ceremony was informal and there was no certificate legalizing the union. However, another man Smith had been seeing alongside Stern had a different opinion on the matter. The photographer, Larry Burkhead, believed Dannielynn to be his daughter. Anna Nicole's half-sister, Donna Hogan, also claimed that the little girl could be Jay Howard's because she had preserved her late husband's specimen. After DNA tests came to a close in 2007, Burkhead was declared the biological father of Dannielynn and ultimately gained full custody, even securing a revised birth certificate along the way. The duo now live in Kentucky, and she's already found work as a model and television personality. Number 3. Residency. Most people know that Smith lived in the Bahamas for several months of her life, but how did she maintain her residency in this foreign country? David Shane Gibson was the Minister of Immigration for the Bahamas and had the power to allow Smith to continue living there. He gave her the status of permanent resident at the end of 2006. By doing this, Gibson received a lot of negative attention from fellow members of the Parliament of the Bahamas, who speculated that he had participated in inappropriate acts with Smith. Some questionable photographs of the two laying together in bed were made public, but they were fully clothed. The pictures, which were said to have been taken by Stern, were published in the midst of the dispute. Gibson assured the photos were innocent and that he wasn't having relations with Anna Nicole. Nevertheless, the minister renounced his title because of all the bad press. He eventually won back his title and was re-elected in May of 2007. Number 2. Problems in Paradise. There were a lot of dramatic events surrounding Smith's pregnancy and Dannielynn's birth. Before she had the baby, Smith contacted her son Daniel, and he flew out to see her and his little sister. The same night he arrived, shortly after meeting the newborn, he passed suddenly in his mother's hospital room. Anna Nicole was extremely grief-stricken by the loss of her son, and on top of it all, she had other matters to handle simultaneously. Ben Thompson had purchased the house she was living in under the impression Smith would sign the mortgage to take ownership of the property, thus assuming the responsibility of the payments. He stated that the house was out of his price range at around $1 million and would have never bought it of his own accord. The timing was dreadful, but he assured his purpose was not to shame Smith, just to simply regain his finances. A letter was delivered to the mansion on October 20th, 2006, and stated that if she continued residing there, he would be forced to follow up with a legal eviction. Soon after, the mourning mother flew back to the United States with Stern and Dannielynn. Anna Nicole was lost a few months later on February 8th, 2007, in Hollywood, Florida. The medical result was said to be overdose, but many believe the real reason was Smith's broken heart. 1. Nanny. After giving birth to her daughter, Smith hired 2 nannies to help care for the newborn in the Bahamas. Quethly and Nadine Alexi assisted the new mother for a few months after the child was born. There was a lot of animosity over Smith's apparent medicinal practices, and in 2010, both nannies testified in court against Stern and Smith's doctors, Christine Aroshevich and Sandeep Kapoor. The two stated that they had seen evidence of pharmaceutical injections in the bathroom, including syringes, cotton balls, and a burnt spoon. They also informed the court that Stern had several small cups of different medications prepared for his wife on a daily basis, and she was often seen having trouble with simple motor skills. Later on in the case, Smith's former bodyguard, Big Mo, testified as well. The longtime employee also stated to newscasters that the people closest to her were aiding her known overuse of these prescriptions. However, these accusations against the three were let go due to lack of credibility.
Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.